So guys, today we're going to be doing the Moon Knight Movies first official podcast. Today we're here with Moon Knight Movies and...
Arkham Victim 27.
Yes, and today we're going to be discussing the delicate topic of what are your thoughts on Kick-Ass, Kick-Ass 2, and should you continue Kick-Ass in the future, perhaps as an ongoing, or make a Kick-Ass 3, and maybe even continue into a Kick-Ass 4, 5, etc., etc. Now, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, I first heard about the movie like 3 months before it was supposed to come out in theaters, and I was like pretty excited for it. And then I saw in a bookstore, it said Kick-Ass, and I looked at it, and it was the comic book, and it said now major motion picture, so I was like, I'll pick it up and I'll read it. And I liked it better than the movie. And then I've been reading Kick-Ass 2 in like Clint magazine, the author guy, Mark Millar's magazine.
I've actually been hearing recently that they're going to make a graphic novel for number 2, and I am interested in the graphic novel for number 2. And first off, I was first introduced to the movie probably 6 months before it came out, and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be good or not. I couldn't tell. I thought the costumes looked a little cheap in some parts, but then other things, it's like, how do they afford a bazooka and a jetpack, but then Hit Girl has a mask that looks like it's from the fabric that you could get for $1.50 at Walmart per yard. But overall, I was proved wrong, and that movie was awesome, in my opinion.
Wasn't that like one of the most critically and like audience praised movies of the year of like 2010?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people wanted to see that movie and they were really impressed.
See, I thought it would be like super bad. I thought it was going to be like just like bullshitting about comics the whole time, which I didn't really want.
Just, what the fuck? Yeah,
Well,
that's what a lot of people thought it would be like, especially when the preview came out with Hit Girl being, okay, you cunts, let's see what you can do now.
Well, I thought there'd be a little action to it and basic stories, but in the end, when it comes down to it, the story arc is there's a person that basically wants to do good. He doesn't know how to do good, and he doesn't really think he can do good, but eventually he gets in over his head and he actually does the good he wants. And everyone's character arc really grows. Like, Red Mist's character arc, I think, is an interesting arc, because Red Mist begins as the kind of
I like the plot twist.
the plain teenager, kind of like, obviously a little bad because, his dad's a fucking crime lord, but he gets worse over time. He gets better over time, and eventually he's almost Kick-Ass himself, but then he turns around and becomes the exact opposite of Kick-Ass, and eventually becomes our anti-hero, or not really anti-hero, but our super villain. And I do really like that. I think it does do a lot better character introductions than a lot of films, and it's not stuck in character introductions.
Yeah.
It gets the character introductions, and there's great character arcs. It's not like Fantastic Four, where it's like, hi.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man style. He get the character introduced, he goes and does his shit, and then he kicks the shit out of Green Goblin.
Yeah, I mean, it's half the film, so it's a good movie, but they definitely were setting up for a good franchise in episode 3.
Yeah. I can't be like the only one that like their lines on the posters. Like, I can't be invisible, but I can kick your ass.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of the poster for 21 Jump Street. There's a small like little batch of words. It's like a sentence. It says they're at like a senior prom thing. It says, the only thing getting blown tonight is their cover. I saw that and I started giggling.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. I was like, blown.
Well, superhero movies, when you're really looking at it, are really improving over the previous years. And I really think Kick-Ass is interesting because it's doing something, it's similar to ground that dipped in before.
To be fair, we started off really, like, superhero movies started off really good with Superman 1 and 2. And then Tim Burton's, then there was, Superman 3 and 4.
And then there was Vomit, Superman 3 and 4.
And then Tim Burton's Batman with Jack Nicholson Joker, who I personally think was a better Joker than Heath Ledger.
Me too.
But, no offense, Heath Ledger totally deserved that Oscar.
Heath Ledger was definitely badass in that role, and I think he took it to the table.
One of the greatest portrayals One of the greatest film characters I've ever seen.
See, the way I see it is, my definitive Joker, believe it or not, is actually Mark Hamill, because I just love his Joker
Yeah,
voice.
like in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
And then Jack Nicholson is my second greatest one. But if they could bring
he kind of captures that. He kind of captures like the wacky humor and the like psychopathic thing that the Joker does.
Yeah, and the thing with the Dark Knight though is, okay, Heath Ledger or not Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson Joker wouldn't work in the Dark Knight. It's too bright. Like they wanted it
like
dark in Tim Burton's Batman, but then they kind of molded into a bit of light. At the time, that's just what they needed. But Batman, this one is supposed to be more like a ninja type deal, and this dude's just a full-out psychopath.
It's much more serious.
It's kind of like Law and Order, kind of like a type of thing I can compare it to. Is that's kind of like Law and Order. The other one is Tim Burton is supposed to be superhero.
Like
Dark Knight is supposed to be kind of Law and Order-ish, where it's kind of take down the criminal and take them in, and they want more of a psychopath killer than kind of just like a killer, cause
like a gritty chase scene kind of.
Yeah, cause I don't think that type of gritty Joker would work, cause they were blending Batman from a very corny kind of Adam West Batman, and they started to kind of grind him into like the center point being Tim Burton's Batman and then Dark Knight's Batman. So I think it was really a turning point, and obviously, I just think it's a great change throughout the year.
The Batman movies have kind of had like an up and down, like Tim Burton, Batman, and Batman Returns was pretty good, and then, boom, like, Batman Forever was okay. I don't like Val Kilmer. I don't think he's that good of an actor. Batman and Robin almost killed the franchise, almost killed off superhero movies for good. Because of the stupid fucking
then we got
bat
Blade,
nipples.
Then Blade Trinity is kind of like, or Blade is holding it back on. Just getting a grasp on superhero films. Then you get Spider-Man and it brings it back up. It's Spider-Man saved the day.
Spider-Man 2.
And Spider-Man 2, and then you're getting Fantastic Four, which though I don't think it's a very good movie, it definitely showed what superhero franchises could do, kind of graphics-wise, and they incorporate those in the modern movies, and I'm excited to see what comes. But back on the topic...
Especially with, like, the Avengers.
Oh my god. Avengers, I think, is going to be a great superhero movie.
After last year, with all those great superhero movies, like Thor, X-Men, Captain America. I mean, I'm starting to get into, like, a Marvel kick. I mean, I used to just buy, like, DC comics and only watch, like, those DC Comics movies, but now I'm starting to get into the Marvel stuff, like, hey, they know what they're doing here.
I'm a mix right now. Like, live action for DC, it kind of went up to Dark Knight, and I think it kind of went down with Green Lantern, and personally, I think Dark Knight Rises is going to be good, don't get me wrong, but I don't like the name Dark Knight Rises. I would have liked Dark Knight Returns. Now, hear me out. You might be saying, well, they already had Batman Returns. But since they are insistent to use the Dark Knight, since the Dark Knight was so popular and many people just think of Batman, you say Batman to a guy on the side of the street and they're like, oh, the Dark Knight. And they're not like Tim Burton's Batman. So it wouldn't be using Batman Returns. It'd be kind of because he's not rising. He's not... rising kind of insinuates beginning.
I think what he's saying is at the end of the Dark Knight, he sort of kind of gave up. It's taking place like 5 years after, something like that, like 8 years, something like that.
I think it's like 8, so they're trying to...
And what he's saying is he sort of let the Joker win, and that's kind of what I liked about that movie. He, Harvey Dent killed those cops, and then Batman took the fall for it. And I sort of like that. Like, he wants to be the hero that city deserves, but he can't. He can't be God.
Well, I think he is kind of mentally kind of destroyed because Joker kind of won on what he wanted to do. Granted, he was stopped
That's what I liked about it.
and
That's
taken
what I
in,
like.
but his whole thing to do was not necessarily destroy Batman, but to put him in chaos. Batman kind of goes on a psychologic thing, like all these people died because of me. I don't want to continue doing this, and by that, more chaos can happen, and crime will start to begin to go back up in Gotham. And I think that's what's going to be interesting in this film. I'm not sure about Bane right now. I think he could either be awesome like Joker. I'm not liking his look that much, or kind of how he doesn't look much like the character.
I think he seems kind of like that big fur coat makes him kind of look like a Russian badass.
But-
That's just me.
I think if they redeem him, kind of like Heath Ledger, no, he didn't look like Joker. Everyone's like, so is this like a Joker goon or something?
I think
Where's Joker?
I think it's trying to show that this is what
This is the realistic mythos.
this is what like a crime boss Joker would be like. He kind of takes it away from all the wackiness and zaniness of the Joker, but he kind of keeps some of it.
Yeah.
Like the way he talks and the way he acts, and like I don't know why, but whenever I think of The Dark Knight, I think of the interrogation room scene, and that by far is probably one of the best
Yeah.
scenes
Yeah.
I've seen in a movie in the decade.
Well, here's what I'm thinking about DC right now,
It just
personally.
sticks with me.
I'm kind of like DC. Marvel, I think, is doing a little better on movies right now. Like, okay, I have
Yeah.
two thoughts right now, so I'm gonna come back to this one. First off, when I think about the Avengers, you know why I think that movie wasn't gonna bomb? If they didn't make a Thor movie, they didn't make a Captain America movie, if they even had an Iron Man movie, it wouldn't have worked out very well.
Yeah, it would
But
have
you need the characters to make. Like Hawkeye, you
That's
see
what I like. They
in
don't have
Thor.
to have the character development.
Hawkeye's in Thor, but you kind of have to develop his character. And Hulk was out of the picture for a while, but I think technically he's Incredible Hulk. Am I not mistaken there?
I think I
I know it's a different actor and all
would
that,
have
but I'll
liked the
get
Edward
past
Norton
that.
because I
think he
went
looks
and
like
saw
Bruce
that
Banner.
when I was like 10 years old.
You might have been 11. No, you would have been.
I
You would have been
was
about 11. That was
I
about 3 years ago.
Well, 4 years. That was 2008. That was
Oh.
with that and Iron Man. And I remember seeing that with my stepmom, and she kept saying that she didn't like how he was too small, but that's kind of what Bruce Banner
Well,
is. I mean,
They're trying to bring it a little more back to earth. If you had the giant Hulk
Yeah.
like in 2004, and might I add, I hate the
that was
2004 one.
fucking terrible.
Like, he looks like the Hulk more than the 2008 Hulk.
I
But
think
I
he
kind of
seems
just
more
look at the
realistic
two
and more
side to
badass.
side, and I'm like, I think this one's more realistic. He can't jump 70 miles. He can't punch anything once and take it out. Like, David Banner in that movie, he was like a freaking psychic that could absorb any powers, but somehow Hulk still beat him. It makes no sense to me at all how
But that's
he
what I like.
overcame his father.
That's what I like about the second one.
But like,
it's an
if you
abomination.
held
It's an
Abomination, and then if you looked at Abomination side to side to 2000 to 2003 Hulk, that Hulk would cream him in like a punch. I really like the toned down Hulk because now in the Avengers
'Cause
film,
he looks more
that-
realistic.
that
That's
big
just what I
Hulk
think.
can probably deck Thor down even. And this smaller Hulk, though he's one of he'll be like the tank of the Avengers along with Thor. Then Captain America will be the real planner. Iron Man will kind of be the reckless, kind of bait, I'll say. I hate to use that. And then Hawkeye and Black Widow will be really tactical. Yeah, I think it'll be a really good movie since they blended Hulk down a bit. One thing I'm kind of worried about for the Avengers, though, or not really worried about, I'm going to say this, I don't think Marvel has the balls to kill off any character but Hawkeye. So if a character's going to die, it's Hawkeye. Here's my thinking. Iron Man franchise right there. They already confirmed Iron Man 3, I believe. Thor,
Yeah, it's
Thor
coming out
2
in, like-
for sure. Captain America. They have rights to him for like 2 more movies. Those 3 are the big 3 for the Avengers right now. And then you have Black Widow, who's a big supporting character in Iron Man 2, and much to love. They're not going to kill off Nick Fury because he's a future
Because he's
sequel
like
one.
fucking Samuel L. Jackson. He's the shit.
Hulk is like Spider-Man's buddy, even though I know they can't exist in the same universe since Sony owns Spider-Man. But still, I mean, like, him and Spider-Man are like
I
the...
think that's
the
why
60s,
Spider-Man
they're
isn't
Stan
in the
Lee's.
Avengers.
Yeah, that's why he isn't, because I don't think they can incorporate him in the same universe.
'Cause-
Because Fox owns Avengers,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
Fox owns like every other thing. They got like
And then Sony owns
Avengers,
Spider-Man.
Yes.
But I think it'll be a good movie. I just kind of feel bad because, like, Hawkeye, if you saw, did you see his- I love
like
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
I think he could be really cool in the live-action franchise. Here's what I don't like about Hawkeye right now. Marvel Ultimate Universe took a cool thing and added the glasses and kind of made him more like a a spy type deal, and then they've made the 616 universe like that, and they're making the movie one like that. I kind of would have liked that they kept 616 traditional, and then they had the other one. But now he has a plain black costume that looks exactly the same as his blue costume from 616, as well as his red costume from Ultimate. It's kind of like
I personally just like his classic purple
I
costume.
love that costume.
'Cause
I know
I was
it wouldn't work in the
reading-
films.
I was reading Fear Itself, and I was thinking, wow, Hawkeye's pretty cool. And then I went and read Civil War, and I was like, wait, where's Hawkeye?
He's the leader of
because-
the Avengers right now. Because he was blind, or Secret Avengers right now. I think he was blinded, and then he was Ronin for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah. I haven't
I
been
hate
up
that.
on my comics
They're
for a while. I just finished Fear Itself, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a great read, and I recommend it to anyone. But, spoiler alert, like, Thor, like, what happened to
He
him?
comes back. He's
Yeah.
already back.
I mean, it doesn't seem fair, like,
It's like
to zone off, like, with the video games. Any video game with Thor in it is just unfair, because he's a god.
I
He's a
hate
god.
that. Like, DC versus Mortal Kombat. It's like, okay, the Mortal Kombat people can take them down because they all have kryptonite. It's like, so Krypton exploded and made kryptonite, and then it's like, oh, let's just go through like a wormhole or something to the Mortal Kombat universe. What gives with that? They're like, oh, sweet, some kryptonite here. Let's make some daggers about it in case Superman comes along. Even though we have no freaking clue who that is, but now
But-
they can all kick his ass, basically.
Well, to be fair, fighting games, they usually
that's
don't
fair.
have a huge story. I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom 3, that kind of
But
had like
even-
a story, and Mortal Kombat even did.
But, like,
I think that was just for fun.
then you get to characters like Deathstroke and Flash, who, don't get me wrong, I think, like Batman and Wonder Woman, I know Wonder Woman has the chance to deck them because she's as strong. And, actually, Batman has all the kryptonite and stuff, but, like, I don't get how Flash can deck him since he's super fast, but Superman, I believe, beat him in in this great DC race or something. But still, pretty cool nonetheless, I guess. I guess you just gotta really get past that with fighting games, because you can't take Superman out and you don't want to make him a god character, which is one big problem with games like that. Which is one reason I kind of don't like that. You know what I would have liked?
Maybe that's why Superman video games never work.
Well, a lot of the times they're for movies, which is the mistake. I think if they made okay, here's what I would want. Lex Luthor or Brainiac or something made robots that could stand up to him. I know it's a really 2D plot, but then it can make a good video game. And I think
Yeah.
like people that worked on Arkham Asylum and stuff, if they worked with
like
people that made
Rocksteady.
kind of like a Skyrim universe, kind of like an open universe, not in like
World.
second person, like kind of like in that type of person. I just mean like kind of an open world universe made by the people from Rocksteady,
Yeah.
and then they kind of have villains throughout. Like I think it'd be awesome if Brainiac, Lex Luthor, and just probably someone very obscure. I think it'd be really cool to add an obscure villain, and then it'd be cool. Very obscure, and it would never happen if he fought Toyman, who made like Superman robot models. And I don't know what his plot would be.
You kind of
He's
got me
throwing
on
ideas
this
out.
right now. Comic books and video games. Not the greatest love affair of all, but we've been treated to some very good exceptions, and I just kind of want to, like Batman, Arkham Asylum, and
Like-
Arkham City, but I kind of want to ask you, what superheroes can make a good video game? Like,
I think the ones that can make good video games are the ones that'll be accessible. Spider-Man, if you make it semi-open world, like they can go around New York and stuff, he can work.
isn't that kind of like what like the older Spider-Mans were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Ultimate Spider-Man, best Spider-Man video game in my opinion. But, like, I think something like that is the best. They are by far the best because, plus, Spider-Man can die jumping off of buildings. It's not like Superman Returns where you can jump off a skyscraper in Metropolis, land on the ground, and it's just like, you're okay, but then you kill 1,000 civilians. And it's just sometimes you just look at those games, and I think the only people that really work are people with more like vigilante powers. Flash would never work because he's so fast. There's no play value in there unless you're doing like some weird button tapping thing. You can't control someone going 100,000 miles an hour. And then you got Green Lantern, and you want to make as many constructs as possible, like swords and guns and stuff. But in the end, it just ends up you're tapping buttons and you click X and he happens to shoot off a gun. There's no real, like, course and time
Well,
on
isn't
there.
that sort of like what Arkham City and Arkham Asylum is, where you'd hit the button and, you know, just tap X or stuff like
Yeah,
that?
but I mean, like, Green Lantern, you want to control, it would just feel like Batman as Green Lantern. I guess you could fly around and stuff, but it'd just be like God mode, not a video game, because you could fly up in the air, a criminal shoots at you, you make a big force field, and then like a turret sticking out of it, if you could do whatever you want, and it'd be overcomplicated to make that. But I actually do have a good idea for a Superman video game. Superman, early 1938, that'd be actually really cool if you made it stylized, kind
Kind
of
of like
Mafia.
LA Noir.
Yeah, kind of like LA Noir
Or
universe.
Mafia.
And then you make it so he only has like the leap tall buildings. He's pretty strong. He's not invincible. Like if you shoot him with a gun, he won't get hurt that much. But eventually you can wear him down. It's not like he's invincible. Like watch those what are those early 40s cartoon Superman? Just like that. Make him that power set except he can't fly. He can only leap and stuff. Just early comic books. He can lift like cars over his head and stuff. But he's not a god. He's strong. And I don't think he should have gadgets like Batman and stuff. But I think if they did something like Brainiac in that situation, where they had strong robotic villains combined with like a strong Superman, but not God mode Superman that can jump and stuff, that would be a very entertaining game if they pulled it off right.
Yeah, like to me, this may sound a little crazy, but to me, with something like Assassin's Creed existing, I think there could be a possibility of a pretty decent Daredevil game.
That would be really cool.
You know, because he's kind of like that vigilante. He kind of does the parkour thing, and of course it'd be in like third person because, you know, he's technically like blind.
Yeah.
But that would be pretty cool with like his gadgets. So it'd be kind of like Arkham, like it'd kind of be like Metroid, because that's kind of where they got Arkham Asylum, because he is a gadget-oriented superhero.
You know what would be cool?
Like Samus.
I know this sounds like really 2D, but I think it should be a Daredevil game where the intro,
like in Hell's Kitchen.
where you play as many of the strongest superheroes, and then there's just like an onslaught of villains that come on you, like Abomination and stuff, and all the villains get captured in this first level. It's like 15 seconds playing as all the Avengers. Soon enough, all the Avengers get captured, and then there's a main villain behind it, and then Daredevil works to take him out. He kind of has to go in disguise. Maybe he teams up with like Spider-Man or something, or you know what would be cool if they kind of tried to kind of did like an Ultimate Alliance thing, except better done. Kind of like the screen will be split into 4 parts, and then you can travel around like Assassin's Creed. You're in like the same city and
yeah,
stuff.
like it would be sort
But
of
you could be,
open
like,
world, and you can
teamwork.
walk around like Hell's
So like
Kitchen in New York.
Daredevil's fighting a series of guys, and then maybe, I don't know, Punisher comes up on the roof and starts sniping
That's
people.
another thing I think could be good. Like
Oh,
a
that would be a
third
fun-
person, like kind of like Gears style Punisher game. Just
Yeah,
'cause
that like Crackdown kind of.
there have been pretty bad Punisher games, and there's been a pretty bad Punisher movie from the 80s with like Dolph Lundgren.
80s Punisher stuck. The new Punisher stuck. 2004 Punisher I thought was actually fairly good. Out of like 10, I would give it like a 7, 8. It was a pretty good movie. Like I could stand it, and I actually own it on Blu-ray. I got it for Christmas, and I thought it was a pretty good film, actually, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, but sort of like a Gears style, because you know how Gears had like that overly bloody, and the
Oh, yeah.
Punisher, he's kind of a douchebag.
That'd be cool. Like
Just come out with the melee attacks,
I think you
like
should
a
have.
tactical knife. Just,
What should happen is they have a series of buttons, and you get like a series of weapons. You start out with you get a shotgun, a plain assault rifle, a pistol, maybe like a revolver, and then like a knife, and then you can pick up like a series of 2 weapons that you can keep until you run out of ammo. So you always have those 4 weapons, but for the people that want more weapons, you can pick up those other 2 weapons. So you kind of get that Punisher signature weapons, but at the same time there. Plus that would be a good way to expand the Punisher mythos and kind of show his likes and dislikes, especially if Marvel decides to make it canon. Now, right now I want to zip off track, and I kind of want to talk Marvel versus DC, this being the first one. Our first podcast. What are your opinions right now on what the best comic company is and kind of why?
I honestly I used to think DC was it used to be my favorite, because I still love DC because of the Flash and Green Lantern, but with their new 52 stuff,
It's getting a confusing mythos, kind of.
I don't know, but then I finished Fear Itself, and then I finished Civil War, and I don't know, I'm starting to get into a Marvel kind of thing, but then I also sort of like Image with like Walking Dead and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I am liking Walking
And
Dead.
oh my
right now.
god,
I haven't read much Walking Dead, which is very
Walking Dead
unfortunate.
a couple weeks ago. Did you see the
Finale?
no? A couple weeks ago. I don't kind of want to spoil anything, but spoiler alert: Shane dies.
Finn does. He gets killed.
And
Doesn't the main character kill him? I haven't seen it yet.
He dies. He dies and then turns into a zombie. And
Don't complain about spoilers. We said spoiler alert.
yeah, and like, wow, it kind of has like that feel to it. And then I love the whole Baron, like, they don't like have a place to go, and anything can count as survival. But I just started watching the first season again, and I realized that how many people they lose, and they just like drop them left and right.
They're getting new of them. And the thing is nice about that is it's like some will die in this, and then they kill off one character nobly at the end. I'm talking about a lot of shows, and it's like no one is safe when in reality it's like you can tell who isn't going to die. It's going to be the least used character who might kind of be like the most arrogant character, and then in the end he makes the ultimate sacrifice. But here your favorite character, the least arrogant, even the leadership type, he can die the next time you turn around. One episode you can see...
That's kind of like what they're doing.
One episode they'll be free from zombies for a while. Next episode something bad happens, they're flooded with zombies and two of their new guys are dead. It's just like, it is a very good show. And the comic, I didn't read much of the comic, but it's just a bloodbath from what I've seen. That's even worse than the show, like blood-wise. It's better than the show. Writing-wise. The only problem with it is it's black and white, and you think with the show, their budget would go up and make it color, but personally, I think that without color, it's a little better. But my opinion right now is I think Marvel right now, their events are great, but I think they're bombarding us with our events. Like, when the New 52 came out, they stopped with all the Blackest Night and stuff, and I think DC was doing what Marvel was doing right now. We have Spider Island, Fear itself, A versus X, and they're bombarding us right now with Marvel. But with DC, they're keeping it normal. They're keeping it like 1 to 3 part things, and the mythos is kind of realigning. It's starting to make more sense. Like, you're starting to re-care about the character. The first time I heard about the reboot, I was just, my mouth was open, and I'm just like, oh, fuck you, DC. You're so... I thought it was the biggest mistake in the world, and actually I think they're starting to come back into the mythos, and I'm not huge on independent, but stuff like The Walking Dead and stuff I do like, and I kind of do like some of the IDW, like G.I. Joe, Transformers. I'm kind of liking Dark Horse Star Wars, but I'm not actually like reading them that much. But right now, DC is my head thing. I'm just a DC fanboy through and through. And though there will be stupid things that make me like Marvel more at times, I'm still a DC boy through and through. Although, I kind of think it's even at times. Like, I really do like the crossovers, but I hate when, like, Marvel had Siege, I think around the same time DC had Blackest Night. And it's like, which one do I pick up? I think Siege and DC both had their strong, and Blackest Night and Siege both had their strong points, but where I think Siege thrived was their one-shots, and I think the miniseries Blackest Night was beautiful, and like the tie-ins, it started to be like Teen Titans would do the exact same thing that Marvel did, or Justice League did, and it would just eventually feel kind of like, okay, I've seen this before, and I have 56 of the 75 tie-ins for Blackest Night. I didn't get them all. I still want to get them all, but I'm just kind of collecting them right now at Half Price Bookstore as I see them. But I think I got 40 of them in store directly. What are your thoughts on, like, who do you think is better at events? Who do you think are better at coordinating them? And do you like a lot of tie-ins so like, let's say you love Blackest Night and you just want it to go on forever and you can read 75 books on it? Or do you like a more controlled event?
Well, I kind of like DC's kind of stories, but it seems like that's all they do. It's just like they did Blackest Night, and then they did Brightest Day, and then after, Flashpoint.
But I kind of noticed that how Marvel was kind of just steady for a time, and then now kind of when DC does doing their New 52, it feels like Marvel's a step behind them in some ways and a step ahead in other ways. And what would really piss me off is if Marvel restarted their universe, because that would feel like, oh, we decided to restart our universe. It's like a year after DC restarted theirs. That would be fishy. So if they restart their universe, I will kind of be pissed. Unless, if they did it like 3 or 4 years down the line, I'd be like, okay, I guess. I'd still kind of feel like it was kind of a ripoff. But if they did it like in a few months, it would kind of be like, okay, kind of bullshit, you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's what they're wanting to do, though.
No, I don't think so. But some things like Fear itself, speculation, or not Fear itself, A versus X, speculation is growing that they're so excited over the event, even compared to like Spider Island and Fear itself, because there's people are speculating that Phoenix is gonna restart the Marvel universe. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that they
Plus,
should
they're
do
making
that.
Hope Summers. They're making Hope Summers, though, like the new Phoenix, which I think is a bad choice, because I think we had enough with the Phoenix. I think the Phoenix, yes, it's an entity, and yes, it should be passed along. I don't think it should be such mainstream X-Men, because you start to care for the characters, and then Phoenix comes along. And after Phoenix, like, I love the Phoenix saga and all that, don't get me wrong. I just kind of feel like at times it's, like, overused. It's just, like, I'm kind of be done with the Phoenix. They did it in like the 1 or 2 X-Men cartoons. They did it in the movie, and they're gonna do it continuously, and it's just a different version of the same story. It's not like fresh storytelling's coming out, whether it's an alien or she's changing her mind. In the end, it all ends up the same. Jean Grey dies, and it's kind of like whatever, and now they're trying to do that, and it's gonna be the same with Hope Summers. They're gonna kill her off, and then they're gonna bring her back. And personally, I think Hope Summers, I think she should resist Phoenix at the end. And personally, I wouldn't mind if Hope Summers kind of like I think she should become evil with the Phoenix, and then she should sacrifice her life in a similar way to what Jean did. But I think this time the entity of the Phoenix should be gone for good. I think this should be a noble sacrifice. Hope is dead for good, and that explains why oh gosh, I'm blanking. Cable, I think. Yeah, Cable was going around and trying to kidnap all the Avengers recently in that kind of short saga. But it would just make sense, in my opinion, if they did that. And I think it would be really cool if they did that.
No, for A versus X, is Wolverine on the Avengers side, or is he on the X-Men side?
Oh, he's on the Avengers, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, and that's side of what I wanted, because, you know...
Because
Cyclops
Cyclops was being like a dick and was like, Wolverine, you're out. And they're kind of acting like he's a shitty kind of a shitty X-Men. And I kind of hate how I get what they're doing with the X-Men breaking apart. They're like, Wolverine should lead a squad. Then they want a more traditional X-Men. At the same time, they want to milk the money. So it's the best of both worlds. The Wolverine fans get their Wolverine type deal. They're kind of playing more traditional X-Men, get their X-Men title. And everyone wins, and guess what? They get to sell more than one X-Men title. But I'm kind of getting tired of that. It's kind of, because, I don't know, like, when all of Wolverine became friends with all these people, I get they kind of broke up, but I think Wolverine should be neutral.
See, the way I see it is, Wolverine, I always picture him as, like, a lone, kind of badass dude on a motorcycle, and not, like a team
leader.
guy.
He's not a leader. He's not Professor Xavier. He can be a strong leader, but I don't think he's a permanent leader. I think like Cyclops is down, Professor Xavier is sick or something, and Storm is down. He's the next in charge, and I think he can get people through battles well. Like if the X-Men were fighting the Brotherhood, let's say, I would trust Wolverine as my general if I was an X-Men personally. But I wouldn't he can't do it forever. He's not that type of
But he can live forever.
person.
So he could do it forever.
That's true. But, did you ever read Wolverine Mad Cow comics? That's really good. It's like painted art. The whole issue was painted. It's just beautifully painted. Although the story isn't very good, I don't think. But I just thought it was a beautiful issue, painted wise. And I do really give praises on it. But overall, I don't know who I'm rooting for for the Avengers, but this just kind of feels like Civil War, except this time they're like, it's not very logical for Captain America and Iron Man to fight. As cool as that event was, Captain America isn't so arrogant that he'd want to fight Iron Man. And though Iron Man's arrogant, they might get in a small fist fight, but they wouldn't go into a war causing civilian casualties over something like that. That's the one thing I don't like. I mean,
I don't think I remember any civilian casualties besides the guy blowing himself up and killing all those kids in that town, and that's what sparked the Civil War.
well, there was a tie-in in the middle where Ben Grimm didn't want to join either side of the Civil War, and this thing blows up, and they're sad because, like, 3 people are dying, and he's thinking that they're all idiots because people are dying in the middle of this. Granted, not very many people, but it's like, sometimes with these superheroes, there's no damage control. Like, here's something I think is noble in the death of Superman. Superman fights Doomsday as long as he can without getting in the heart of Metropolis. He's fighting him in farm fields. Finally, he gets into Metropolis, and there are casualties. They're saying there was over 100, or they were saying like halfway through the Doomsday fight, there was like 100 casualties. And that was before he even got into Metropolis. And then the 2 of them were fighting, and in the end, Superman dies and Doomsday dies. And you know, even though they didn't keep Superman dead, I didn't think it was something corny. Like, he's like, I'm back. I think it legitly left a question, like, what is the world without Superman? It's what they tried to do in Superman Returns done right. Like, Superman Returns was just a stupid movie. Don't even get me started. I thought Brandon Routh did an okay job on Superman. I thought he was an okay Superman. He could act, he got his moments. He had his moments where he's a lot like Christopher Reeves, but at times it was just kind of like,
Yeah, but then I saw him in Scott Pilgrim, and I thought he, all I saw was like a dorky Superman, but with like bleached hair, and I didn't like it. And then Dylan Dog, don't even get me started on that movie. That movie was terrible.
But I am starting to really, like, for a while there, between, like, 2009 and until, like, the DC New 52 reboot, I was kind of in limbo. I'd pick up back issues of comics, and I'd pick up comics at Half Price Bookstore for, like, a quarter. But I wasn't, like, really into comics. Well, I was into comics. I'm not saying I wasn't into comics. I wasn't very into new comics, because it's like, okay, I'm tired. Because I would have to spend, like, $100 on the main issues of events. Well, not that much. I'd have to spend, like, $40 because I wanted, like, $4 a piece for all, like, the main event issues. Then they'd have, like, 8. Then they'd have a prelude and it'd be like, look at Justice League to continue this arc and that arc. And by the time it was all said and done, I think I spent $170 on Blackest Night total. And I don't even have all the issues. And it's just ridiculous. I just go bankrupt after those, which is kind of ridiculous. I just feel like it's just a lot of money to do those. So for a while, I was just collecting back issues. And that's kind of what I miss about the Silver and Gold Age. It's like they're standalones. They can work. They can really work as single things. It's not like now where you need 17 issues. And then you also have to go into the other monthly title and the other monthly title of Superman to finish a book. It's like Superman and Action Comics. Action Comics, 1 issue, 36 pages or whatever. You're done. That's the book. And it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it was very serial. It was like you had the beginning, Superman finds a problem, Chapter 2, or Act 2, or whatever you want to call it. Superman confronts this problem for the first time, and Act 3, Superman finds a way to defeat the problem. Done. And you had the character develop in the early ones, and eventually everyone knew the info on him. And the nice thing about comics back then were in the early issues, they would always have those things where it would be like, you know, the little square thing? And then it'd be like, Flash is the fastest man alive. When chemicals went on him in the laboratory, Barry Allen became the Flash. And it kind of have like that kind of serial-ish introduction that you didn't have to read if you were already familiar with the mythos. But if you weren't familiar with the mythos, it was kind of very nice. Like, if that was your first, let's say you got Flash 123 randomly. I think that was the Golden Age Flash and Silver Age Flash first meeting. But
I think you're right.
like they met, like they would meet up, and it would kind of say like it would. If that was your first issue, if you read that and you're like, so this is Barry Allen, the character we're following, and instantly you jumped in the mythos. You could start from there, and you never had to read a single issue before it, because there would be some things like, oh, we meet again, like Weather Wizard or something, but the story stood alone as much as you knew the origin. You didn't really know the origin of Weather Wizard, for example, but it's kind of like Still. Which nowadays it's kind of like you have to read all 52 of DC's titles just to kind of understand. And that's what I really liked about the old comics compared to the newer comics. And it was a lot quicker than ARC. I didn't have to wait 8 months to read an ARC. It was like, you get the comic here, read, and you're done. Sometimes you'd have to search through back issues to get 2 parts. But yeah. What are your thoughts on, like, trade paperbacks and stuff? Like, would you rather collect single issues of Kick-Ass and have it kind of be serialized where each month you're like, oh, Kick-Ass returns, and it's kind of like Kick-Ass is about to get, let's say, sliced up with a ninja sword by some random dude. Then the next issue, boom, Kick-Ass survives somehow, and it shows how. Would you rather have the suspense on, like, how does Kick-Ass stop him? Or would you rather have it in trade paperback form where it's like, oh, there he is, you flip the page and you know the answer?
Well, what I do is I bought Kick-Ass 2 like a week after it came out, and I was really excited, and I read it, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, this is awesome. And then I've been waiting for the second one, and it came out like 6 weeks behind, 2 months behind, and I didn't have money with me because I was broke, because these things like make you go bankrupt. And then I just got lazy and I never bought them, so I just wait for them to come out on trade paperback now.
That's what I hate. Sometimes you're a week late for the comic book store, like you're excited, you're going to the comic book store, but then you miss a comic book store. You don't go to the comic book store the week that your issue comes out, and you miss it, and then it's like, oh, in 2 weeks we'll get a second printing, and then it's just like the same cover and like all orange. It's like, what's the point? Can't you just print out the stupid thing? This isn't I know it's supposed to be a collector's item, and one of my greatest pet peeves are the people that are in the medium just for like cash and stuff, a dash for cash. And that kind of annoys me. I can understand you not knowing much about the character and being in them, because if let's say you collect action figures, but you know nothing about the action figure, but you think it's cool, that's fine. But if you're collecting the action figure because you're like, this will be worth something in 30 years, oftentimes if you think it's going to be worth something, it's not going to be worth anything. You gotta look in the obscure. Let's say you want the Star Wars Vintage Collection, for example. None of those are ever going to be worth anything because they're, quote, here's what's the problem with Vintage Collection. They're reproduction package. They're not going to be worth $100,000. Well, none of them aren't worth $100,000. But just because you have a reproduction Star Wars Vintage Collection package, it's never going to be worth $500 like the initial figure box.
But on the Star Wars with all the box sets and DVDs,
like, oh, that's fucking ridiculous.
But it honestly, the complete saga one on Blu-ray, it won't be the last time I would buy Star Wars. That's just what I'm saying. Cause
they're gonna be like, guess what?
Yeah, I have it. I have the original trilogy, and when they first came out on VHS, I still watch them from time to time. And they're in beautiful SD, just how they looked in the 70s. There's no Greedo shot first, and Greedo shot first. I don't see why everyone gets pissed about it, because you know it's. I don't understand. It's just trying to make Han Solo look more badass.
I don't remember where I got this from, but I remember it online. And this dude's like, Greedo shot, then Han Solo ran away and got the respected warrant and permission from the law enforcement agencies to finally shoot back. I thought that was hilarious. It's like, I just thought that was really funny, because I don't remember how he said it, but he's like, and then Han Solo had a written warrant that said he could shoot Greedo back in sheer self-defense, and I'm like, that's funny. But like, even like, I just hate how they add more CGI things. Like, I watch the movies, and then I look at the CGI, and at times it's like, I'd rather have the crappy animated puppets than have this CGI in there. Because, like, A New Hope DVD release 2004 is what I actually was watching until I never got the Blu-ray release yet, but I was watching those for a long time. I think I bought another version. I'm actually watching mainly I watch the VHS original editions like Grant does. But for a long time I was watching those 2004 DVD ones, and you look at the puppets, and they would look better than the CGI animals. I'm not saying the CGI animals are worse, but the thing I like better about the non-CG animals
Is they're there.
is that, like, they don't look right as, like, together. It's like, what is wrong with this? Because one thing would be, you would see a puppet animal that would look fine in the context because it's a cheesy 70s movie, and you'd see the cheesy lightsaber, and then you'd see a weird, like, CG animal, and it just doesn't make sense. Plus, also, I noticed this. When Han Solo was talking to Jabba the Hutt in Episode 4, which he wasn't originally in the original cut, but they added it for 2004. I think they might have added it a cut earlier, one of
It was
Lucas's
originally a
cuts.
deleted scene.
But instead of being a dude that they actually had hired, that it used to be a man that walked with him, but they put a CG Jabba the Hutt that looked awful over it. And what I noticed about that Jabba the Hutt is, he looked so weird. He didn't look like Jabba the Hutt. Plus he said, "You're the best person on the world," sarcastically. And they said person when Jabba the Hutt isn't a person. I just thought that was funny because at the time I don't know if George Lucas knew that he was going to be a big slug guy, what he was going to be. I'm interested with that. Also, in sad news, I can't even remember what his name was, but he was the guy that made all the concept art for Star Wars. I was blanking. I knew who it was this morning. I actually wanted to talk about this. But he actually passed away recently, and that's a real bummer. I think it was early March.
Yeah, there would be no Star Wars without him.
No. Although his concepts do look wildly different. Like, you look at it and you're like, that was supposed to be it? Stormtrooper with a lightsaber? And when you look at it, if you look at that, and then okay, so you take a Stormtrooper and minus that concept art from a Stormtrooper, and you have a Clone Trooper, Mark II. It's really interesting how if you kind of extract the Stormtrooper faction of it, you're like, whoa. So in a way, they were still kind of using that concept art. Even 2002, I think, was that episode? Yeah, episode 2 was 2002. But,
Yep, that was the year of the sequels.
yeah.
Star Wars 2, Lord of the Rings 2, Harry Potter 2.
Spider-Man. Dude, did you know the first Spider-Man teaser trailer came out a few months before 9/11 happened? And Spider-Man actually gets a helicopter and hangs it between the World Trade Center. Between the two towers, which I find interesting, actually. I find that quite interesting. That they would actually, that was in there. I actually saw the trailer. I don't know if it's real or anything, but I've heard some sources say that was real, so I looked it up, and indeed it is. So look that up on YouTube, and I think I looked up 9/11, or not 9/11, World Trade Center, Spider-Man trailer World Trade Center, or something like that. It's kind of interesting. Although you can tell how much the CG even changed within the year. Like, that was really cheesy CGI, and then in the next, when you see the real film, you're like, whoa, those are the same? I thought it might even be faked, but if any of you Spider-Man experts know, put that down in the description. I would really actually like to know. I'm fairly interested in that, if, that's real or not. Because I only saw, like, 1 or 2 of them, and they were in really bad, like, condition. But still, that's really interesting. So we're actually coming up on 50 minutes, so we're actually going to split this into 2 parts. But, are there any last thoughts you have? Anything? Well, let's finish by answering the question of the day. Do you think they should make a continuous issue on Kick-Ass? Let's make a quick, 5-minute debate on this, because it's going to have to be 2 parts anyways.
I kind of think that they should just keep it as a mini-series.
I think 2 should be a good climatic thing. And I think what they should do in 2 is I think they should keep it open to a sequel, so, people can imagine a sequel, but I don't think they should make a sequel. Like, Watchmen making the prequels, whether or not that's a good idea, I can't tell you. It's the fan.
The thing is with Kick-Ass 2, I don't know if they're going to make a Kick-Ass 3 because his, spoiler alert, major, I'm going to spoil the entire fucking series for you. So Kick-Ass's dad finds out he's Kick-Ass,
And he dies.
and then
I haven't read it yet, but
Red Mist and his toxic mega cunts. They,
isn't it motherfucker now?
Yeah, motherfucker. They kill.
It's a stupid name.
They kill these kids and an entire neighborhood, and they blame it on superheroes. And now they made it illegal for everyone who wears a mask. They get thrown in jail, and Kick-Ass's dad, Dave Wazowski's dad, takes the blame for him because he doesn't want to see his son in jail. And then motherfucker finds out the Kick-Ass's real identity, and they kill his dad in jail, and they expose his secret identity online. So the whole world knows he's Kick-Ass. He doesn't have any parents, and the toxic mega cunts are out to kill him.
I think him and Hit Girl, I think in the end what he should do is in like the last few I think they should make a third one.
Well, they're concluding it. They just concluded it this
What
week.
happened in the end?
I haven't totally read it all, but I was reading the issue before of Clint magazine, and
Wait, do you have all of them now?
no, I just pick them up at a comic book store and read them and put them down. But what happened was, the toxic mega cunts are fucking up Times Square, and then Hit Girl and Kick-Ass come in, and they're gonna stop him, and he's all like, "You're out. There's 2 to like 200, and you guys are gonna be totally fucked." And then they're like, "Yeah, we know. That's why we brought a couple friends." And so they sort of even the odds because they had all these online superheroes, and the last line is, "What's the matter, Chris? You shitting yourself?" Well, you should be. And then it says to be concluded, and I was like, damn it, I want to read more.
What I think is going to happen in the end is I think they're going to win. I think either Red Mist is going to narrowly escape, or I think he's going to die. I think in the last few panels, he's going to say that I think he should be like about to quit and kind of being like wrapping up and kind of like in his mind about something. And I think he should walk by like a mugging and then kind of just like change into Kick-Ass and be like, but... And then I think he should beat up the mugger or something. Or I don't even think he should show him beat up the mugger. I think he should start to run at the mugger. And then it's your imagination. If you want to continue Kick-Ass in your mind, that's your choice. You could make up that he dies or whatever, but I think they should stop it there if that's what they want to do. Because I really think that would be a great conclusion to the series. Because then you don't know... Because then you can decide, would Dave give up being a superhero? Would he do it on certain occasions? And then I think if they do want to make a third Kick-Ass, I think they should wait like 10 years and then make it like Red Mist really wasn't dead, or maybe he went into hiding and came out and they needed Kick-Ass again. I think that would be the only circumstance in which I'd want to see another Kick-Ass book after that. But I don't even know. I think that's just good suggestions. So, sorry we basically talked about Kick-Ass for like, 2.5 minutes? Even though that was supposed to be our main topic. But I still think this was a productive first podcast.
Yeah, have me back again.
52 minutes. And actually, I think if we can't, we might just Skype or set this up over phone if we can't do this weekly in person. But I think we should try and do this weekly. Tell me what you guys think about it. It's probably going to be only like 45 minutes from now on at the most. But, again, this is Moon Knight Movies, and...
Arkham Victim 27. Don't forget to check out my channel, and don't forget to check out our video game channel, Recon Blue 25. We will be doing podcasts about video games called Gamertag, and, coming out every week, and, yeah, check it out, because we're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff. So,
see you later, guys.